This is the war they never taught us in school. Its records buried in dusty archives and out-of-print books. 1492 to 1776. The American Indian Removal War. From the first Spanish landfall to the eve of the Revolution, North America was not discovered. It was invaded. 7 foreign powers waged a 283-year campaign to seize the homelands of the copper-colored, wool-haired nations already living in the Americas. The Aboriginal indigenous peoples also known as Negro and Black. The 7 invaders, flag lines of advanced Spain. 1492, Caribbean beachheads to Florida and southeast to Camino Real. Through the southwest, to Pacific Coast missions. France, Gulf of Mexico, and New Orleans to Mississippi River to Great Lakes. Interior Britain, Atlantic seaboard colonies to Appalachian. Pushed to probes toward the Pacific Northwest Netherlands, Hudson River and Delaware valleys, staging into parts of today's Canada, Russia. Bering Strait crossings to Alaska, or rather to southward coastal posts. Italian-led ventures, explorers under Spanish and French charters. Striking the Gulf Coast and Texas hinterlands, colonial proxies and coerced native auxiliaries, forced to fight relatives, masking empire behind the later term Native American, hidden target. These armies were not chasing African captives. They were displacing indigenous Black Americans, the Negros de la Tierra, noted by 16th century Spanish chroniclers. Legal alchemy relabeled them Negro, colored, mulatto, stripping treaty rights, land patents, and ancestral names. Paper genocide marched beside musket and pike. Methods of war, steel and fire, forts, presidios, scorched earth raids, papal and royal decrees, intrica terra, 1493, sublimis deus, 1537, royal charters, the doctrine of discovery. Forced conversion, mission chains from Florida to California under Franciscan and Jesuit rule. Baptism or the lash. Encomienda and repartimiento, labor drafts binding whole villages. Reclassification statutes, early caste laws, later the Racial Integrity Acts, turning Indians into mulatto Negro, then later Black with a clerk's stroke of a pen. Removal or reservation, except a fenced parcel, or vanish from the record. By 1775, the invaders proclaimed victory. Voting rights gone, titles extinguished, names replaced. Slave ships sailed, but many ferried the dispossessed out of their own continent, erasing them from memory. What was lost? Pyramid mound cities aligned to solstices. Maritime trade routes older than Columbus. Wampum belt law and sovereign councils, silenced under foreign flags. What endures spirit cave ancestors in Nevada, copper-colored descendants who still sing the old songs. Open enrollment, lineage-based nations calling relatives home. The Spanish conquistadors, Columbus opens the gate, Cortez topples Tenochtitlan. De Soto cuts a bloody arc from Florida to the Mississippi. Cabrillo scouts the California coast. Each wave plants missions, mines, and slavery under the banner of the Roman Catholic Church, backed by papal bulls that declared non-Christians fit for conquest. Resistance flares. Pueblo Revolt, 1680, Taino uprisings, Seminole Maroon bastions in Florida, but muskets, microbes, and missionaries grind on. The church's crucible mission bells summoned forced labor, baptismal rolls doubled as tax lists. Yet beneath the adobe arches, hidden rites and blended faiths kept ancestral spirits alive. $5 Indians. After 1887, the Dawes allotment rolls opened a loophole. For a small bribe, thousands of white settlers bought themselves an Indian identity, land parcels, and future casino dividends. Their signatures still cloud titles, benefits, and census counts today. 1776 versus 1865, freedom deferred. While the 13 colonies toasted independence, in 1776, the vast majority of the copper-colored aboriginals and kidnapped Africans they held in bondage were still legally property, their labor financing the very fireworks that filled the sky. The Declaration's fine words, all men are created equal, never reached the rice swamps of Carolina, the tobacco fields of Virginia, or the sugar kettles of the West Indies. For the people branded Negro, the 4th of July marked nothing but another day in chains. 89 summers passed before General Granger marched into Galveston on June 19, 1865, and read General Order No. 3, forcing the last Confederate holdouts to honor Lincoln's 1863 Emancipation Proclamation. Only then did the law, on paper, acknowledge what had always been true. No human being can be owned. Yet even freedom arrived with new shackles of ink. Census clerks erased Indian or African roots and stamped Black, a political color, not a nation, onto birth certificates, land deeds, and draft cards. Families like Harrison Bracey's were cataloged as prisoners of war, stripped of homelands and pushed into forced military service or labor contracts masquerading as freedom. That is why many descendants refuse to celebrate the 4th. Independence Day commemorates the liberty of the colonizers, not the liberation of the colonized. Our day is Juneteenth, now a federal observance, because it records the moment the last shackles were legally broken and signals the unfinished work of restoring stolen lands, names, and rights. until the promises of 1865 are fully kept. Fireworks on July 4th will echo more, like Moose call to action. You were renamed, not erased. Your lineage was papered over, never lost. Dig the archives, trace the surnames, read the missionary ledgers, compare the DNA with your grandmother's Bible, correct the record, reclaim your status.